Hello, everyone, and namaskar. So, today's podcast is a continuation of the reading of the book titled Idea and Ideology. And this is a reading of the fifth chapter titled Kosa. Consciousness is a supreme subjectivity, and all other mundane subjectivities or objectivities are mere blendings of the absolute subjectivity. Therefore, the mind is not an absolute entity either, but a transformed state of consciousness. For the performance of its actions, the mind depends on the motor or sensory organs as its direct agents. Afferent and efferent nerves, in their turn, act as direct agents of these organs. The nerves which convey the tanmatras from objects to the mind, or activate the object with the force they acquire from the mental structure, and in this way link the mind with the external objectivities, are the indirect agents of the mind. Whenever the outgoing tanmatras carrying mental force get reflected, the objects come within our scope of sensation, perception, and conception. When they get refracted, the objects partially come within our scope of sensation, etc. When the tanmatras are neither reflected nor refracted, or when there is little reflection or refraction, the objects do not come within the scope of our feeling. The correctness of perception depends upon a good many factors. The objects transmitting tanmatras must be in healthy condition. The gateways of the organs must be healthy, and also the reflecting tanmatras should be defectless. The afferent and efferent nerves and the Chpt should be sufficiently strong and active. And the last but not least factor is that the ego, ahang tattva, should be ready to receive them. Any defect or slackness of any of the above factors results in incorrect perception, and hence in incorrect conception. For example, in the case of persons suffering from glaucoma, watery fluid is deposited in the optical nerve, which causes a dispersion of light inside. As a result, even the white rays transmitted by objects appear to be spectrum-colored. So far as the efferent nerves are concerned, it is primarily upon the activating capacity of the ego that the process of physical activity depends. One's personality also depends on the activating, radiating capacity. The more developed is the radiating power, the more glaring will be one's personality. Thus it has been examined that the function of the mind is to act through the organs and nerves, and thereby either to receive or radiate the tanmatras. The portion of the mind which deals with indriyas is named kámamaya kośas. This kámamaya kośas controls the physical longings of the microcosm. As regards the macrocosm, the mind is said to be started at the stage where the sense of subjectivity, mahatattva, the subjectivated I, ahang tattva, and the objectivated I, Chpt, are all present. Hence, in the stage of Chpt, we get mahatattva and ahang tattva as well. In the extraversial sanchara process, Chpt gradually crudifies under the influence of static prakriti till the crude solid is created. This process of crudification of Chpt, having a coordination of mahatattva and ahang tattva, is divided into 5 stages known as kośas. According to the relative density of crudeness developed through the bondage of the static principle, the 5 kośas, starting from the initial stage, are hirańmaya kośa, vijiṋánamaya kośa, atimánasa kośa, manomaya kośa, and kámamaya kośa. The kámamaya kośa is the crudest stage of Chpt, where it is metamorphosed into the crudest stuff. With the 5 manifested fundamental physical factors, it is physical for the microcosm, but mental for the macrocosm. The macrocosmic mind displays its will. Macrocosmic control over the 5 fundamental physical factors means the internal display of the macrocosmic kámamaya kośa. Nothing is beyond the scope of cosmic mind. That is, everything comes within that mental scope. And so the macrocosmic entity needs no nervous system or indriyas for controlling these operations, and therefore, the cosmic mind at this stage requires no physical structure as a unit mind does. The manomaya kosha is subtler than the kámamaya kosha, and it has a capacity of recollection and contemplation, smarana and manana. The kámamaya kosha being the crudest in structure, and in the case of the microcosm dealing with the external panchabhutas, it is called the crude mind, or stula mana. The manomaya kosha is known as the subtle mind, or sukma mana. The remaining three koshas, being still more subtle, and also being the rudimental stages of stula or sukma mana, are collectively termed causal or astral mind. The psychological nomenclature of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious minds for the crude, subtle, and causal minds does not appear to be correct. From the microcosmic angle of vision, the kámamaya kosha of the macrocosm is expressed through the 5 rudimental physical factors, from which the physical body of the microcosm and other physical objects come into being. The kámamaya kosha of the cosmic includes, therefore, the annamaya kosha of the unit. Here it may be pointed out that the microcosm in its flow of imagination creates actualities for the unit mind, whereas the kámamaya kosha of the unit cannot create physical actualities by its imagination. As already seen, the kámamaya kosha, having the function of dealing with the bhutas, is said to be the crude mind in the case of the microcosm also. The manomaya performing the function of recollection and contemplation is known as the subtle mind of the microcosm also. And as in the case of the macrocosm, the atimánasa, vijiṋánamaya, and hirańmaya are the causal portion of the microcosm. But the division of the microcosm into a causal portion is merely a theoretical proposition. There is no separate existence of the unit causal mind from the cosmic causal mind. In case the crude and subtle portions of the unit mind suspend their work by the process of sádhaná or otherwise, the causal portion of the unit mind will not be able to maintain its separate identity. Only the seed of past action will remain, just to differentiate the microcosm from the macrocosm. By a process of correct sádhaná, the sadhaka will feel that there is one causal mind in the universe. There is no causal difference between the microcosm and the macrocosm. Similarly, by the subtleness of projection, subtle and crude portions of the unit mind can connect themselves with the subtle and crude portions of the cosmic mind. The way to achieve this subtleness of projection is the process of yogic sádhaná. The entire body, here body does not mean any crude physical structure, of the macrocosm can similarly be divided into 3 parts: crude, subtle, and astral or causal. The physical world being within the psychic scope of the macrocosm cannot have any crude or physical body in the sense the microcosm has. Yet, because of the inclusion of the 5 bhutas within its mind, the kámamaya kosha of the macrocosm is often termed the crude body of Paramatman. The remaining portions of the macrocosmic koshas are the subtle body or the sukma deha or Paramatman. Ahang tattva and mahatattva of Paramatman are known as its astral or causal body. The concept of causal body is a philosophic proposition, because philosophy says that the moment nucleus Purushottama appeared to have been influenced by his immanent sentient principle, the seed of creation got an expression, and his bodies and lokas were created. Similarly, the annamaya kosha of the unit is its crude body, stula deha. The kámamaya, the manomaya, atimánasa, vijiṋánamaya, and hirańmaya koshas constitute the subtle body of the unit. Above the scope of hirańmaya, until the merger into Purushottama, the unit certainly possesses a body, but that body cannot be termed causal. It being the last phase is known as samanya deha. By its very nature, if the mind is to possess objectivity, it must also have a witnessing entity. The witnessing entity is the summum bonum of the mind. Philosophy has given different names to the witnessing entity according to the differences in the nature of the objective mind. But this does not mean that the same Purushottama is not acting as the witnessing entity at different stages of the mind. It is he who reflects himself as the witnessing counterpart by functional difference due to the changing mental status. At different stages, different names have been adopted for that singular entity. The Purushottama witnessing the causal cosmic mind, subtle cosmic mind, and crude cosmic mind has been called Virata or Vishvanara, Hiranyagarbha, and Ishvara, respectively. Similarly, the Purushottama witnessing the microcosm at the causal, subtle, and crude stages is termed Vishwa, Tehasa, and Pragya, respectively. The cosmic entity extends its different lokas, wherein the different kośas and the unit minds dwell. The term loka refers only to the macrocosm and not to the unit. The kámamaya kosha of the cosmic, where material structure has taken form, is called burloka, physical world. The kámamaya kosha of the cosmic entity, where material structure has just begun taking form but has not actually acquired it, is called bhuvarloka, or crude mental world. The levels of manomaya, atimánasa, vijiṋánamaya, and hirańmaya kosha are known as svarloka, or subtle mental world, maharloka, or supramental world, janarloka, or subliminal world, and taparloka, respectively. Above that, since the causal body is conceived to be in existence, from a philosophic point of view, it is termed satyaloka. The above kośas, different stages of mind, witnessing entities and lokas, are tabulated below. A table is included, which I will add to the description. This discourse was given on May 31st, 1959, Jamalpur. Thank you.